Strike for all healthcare professionals countrywide if the government fails to look into their demands. This comes barely a day after 4 doctors succumbed to COVID-19 in a day. Majibu Kitsao has the details.
The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers has today issued a 7-day ultimatum to the national government to look into their demands, failure to which they will officially down their tools.
And so we will be demanding that certain measures are put in place within the next 7 days, failure of which we are going to issue a nationwide strike.
The notice comes a few days after similar notice was issued after the union officials complained of not having medical covers. In today's media briefing, the union officials said that the recent deaths of 4 healthcare workers are as a result of failure on the side of the government for exposing them to the virus, refusing to properly protect them, and for failing to cater for their medical bills once they get infected with the virus.
It is worth noting that almost all health workers who have succumbed to COVID-19 belong to the vulnerable group of the elderly, pregnant, and those with pre-existing conditions. These deaths would have been avoided had the government heeded to our advisories and those of the WHO.
They have further urged the government not to risk the lives of vulnerable groups of healthcare professionals who include the aged, pregnant, and those with pre-existing medical conditions.
The issue of the elderly and vulnerable. Have you ever seen soldiers being sent to war who are already sick and who are already old?
Elsewhere, the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Union too have placed their blame on the government as they condoled with the families of the fallen doctors. The union chair, Dr. Chibanzi Mwachonda, has further asked the government to employ more doctors into the sector, saying that it is time the government of the day listened to the frontline workers.
In our country, the neglect and working environment has resulted in the loss of now over 30 healthcare workers, 10 of which are senior specialist doctors, and this is a great loss for this country in this war against COVID-19.
KMPDU has also issued a 21-day notice to the government to intervene, failure to which they will too call for a national strike.
Have today resolved to issue a 21-day strike notice to the government of Kenya. We don't have 49 governments. We have one government headed by a head of state. Employment of 2,000 doctors out of employment and a review of the contract terms for those engaged in COVID-19 to permanent and pensionable.
Now, the healthcare workers have been the frontline soldiers in fighting COVID-19 ever since the first case was reported in the country in March. And now they're saying they're going to down their tools if at all the government doesn't heed to their demands. What does this mean to Kenyans now that the country is still fighting this pandemic? Majibu Kitsao, Switch TV News, Nairobi.